Ooh, it's been difficult recording this evening. I've tried about 4 times and my dog just keeps going off on one. I don't know what's wrong with her. So sorry if she starts barking in the background or anything like that, but she just seems to be on one tonight. I'm shocked that I hit episode 150 yesterday. That came out of nowhere. I was writing the numbers out for the Pokemon video and thought, hang on a minute. God, I'm at my next half century. That counts about 5 months worth of videos if you assume every month has 30 days. I know it's give or take, but that has gone really, really, really quick. I thought I was going to plan on doing like a milestone reflection one, but I never got around to it once I'd realised and wasn't really sure what to say. But then I was just thinking in general about topics for this one, and I thought, you know what? One thing that's always been thrown at me since I've ever done podcasts and bits and pieces like that was that I never really game. And I thought, you know what? I'll do a video on why I don't particularly play many games or new games and things like that, because it's a weird one. It's one that when people haven't banded it about in a while. I think they're used to what we do on Mature Gamer Podcast now, or MGP as we call it. They're used to the fact that I'm not really interested in certain types, but you know, there are quite a few reasons, and I think it's probably a good topic to cover off, because the big main reason, I never realised anybody else had this particularly. My sister gets it a little bit, but I was having a conversation with someone at the weekend who gets it really badly, and it kind of was interesting because I've never met someone outside of my family who gets it as bad as I do. And what I'm talking about is motion sickness when you're playing games. Now, I hadn't really experienced it in a long time, and I'm really sad to say that when I got Mario Odyssey out and started playing it the other day, within an hour or so, I felt so uncomfortably dizzy and sick that I'm just wary of playing it anymore, which sucks because it was the game I was most looking forward to playing, and it's meant to be excellent. It's put me off getting the Breath of the Wild. I was saying the new Zelda game, but it's been out a while now, for the same reason, because I think it depends on two things for me. It depends on the graphics in some games, and it depends on the controls in others. And I think in Nintendo's case, it might be a controller issue, not a graphics issue. Because if a game tries to look too real, I start getting sick. So I used to be really bad with the Call of Duty games when they try and look ultra realistic, and it wasn't because my brain was going, oh my god, it's too real. My friend who's into like biology, and he's got a PhD in microbiology and stuff, he was reading a paper, and someone mentioned that the reason it happens is your brain thinks that you're being poisoned and you're hallucinating, so it starts trying to make you feel sick well, first of all, it tries to incapacitate you, so you stop what you're doing and you lay down, and then it tries to make you be sick so that you get the poison out of yourself, or it tries to get you to sleep it off so that it runs its course and your body could just figure it out. And that describes it so well. I mean, the worst experience I've ever had was, I think it was Call of Duty 4 or Call of Duty Modern Warfare, one of those two. My friend told me it was like absolutely fantastic and I should get it. And the first level, you were basically jumping out of a helicopter onto a boat, that was sinking. And when you went on, it was upright, and then it starts tilting and going all over the place. And even thinking about it makes me feel a little bit ill, because it was going all over the place and my brain just couldn't hack it. I laid down for something like 4 hours, and basically it wrote off the rest of my day. Essentially, I was laying around just feeling ill, feeling really het up. It creates a weird flight or fight response where if someone starts interrupting you, you feel really aggressive about it. You're like, leave me alone, because you feel so violently ill. And so that kind of put me off ever playing Call of Duty games. Now, that obviously makes a big difference when you're working in like, even though it's amateur game media, people listen to our shows and they will say, are you not going to review the new Call of Duty or whatever? And I'm like, well, no, because I don't like them. And then people will try and think I'm being snooty about it, which in some ways we might be being snooty about it, because I personally prefer like story-driven games. But I do think there was a time when I loved first-person shooters. I grew up playing Doom, Doom 2 was the game that I played excessively. Quake, Duke Nukem when I was a bit older. I'm trying to think. I mean, Call of Duty 1, I used to go to a LAN centre in, I think it was Rayleigh in Essex. Rayleigh or Raynham, they both sound the same. It was near the Pink Toothbrush for anyone from down that area. We used to go to that area. We used to sit in the land centre and play Call of Duty. Me, my friend Shelley, who sometimes comments in the chat, my friend Dave, who had a car. We'd all go out there. We'd play our Call of Duty. We'd play Command and Conquer, that sort of thing. All the computers were wired up on a network, and then we'd all go to the Pink Toothbrush and just get drunk and get a taxi home, or Dave would drive us because he'd be the designated driver. And I'd be fine with all that, and it never really made me dizzy. Sometimes it would. I think that depended on my mood, my health, I don't know, the weather, if I overheated, God knows what. I used to find that if I drank like Dr. Pepper in heavy amounts, or if I ate a lot of sweets, I think the sugar rush would kind of see me through it. But as I've obviously got older, I don't sit there and eat, because we used to go there with maybe 20 quid in hand, pay a fiver to go in and spend as much time as you wanted, and then just buy all their food and drink and just sit there eating like crazy while we played like proper geeks. And it was so much fun. But then as the games changed, something tweaked in the graphics, and it used to wreck me. The only time it ever wrecked me growing up before that point was in Duke Nukem specifically. If you got stuck in a wall, the wall would start duplicating over and over and over again. And because I was trying to turn left or right or go backwards and it wasn't happening, it would suddenly send me into this spiral of dizziness. And so I learned quite quickly that games that were a bit buggy or a bit like less responsive were a big no-no for me. Now that's what I think happened coming to today, or this week even, sorry, with Mario Odyssey. Was I was playing away and I'm running around and it was all fine, and I pressed jump and Mario didn't jump. And that kind of flipped me, because I was in the flow of moving around and I'm thinking move forward, jump, right, I'm on there, jump, and it didn't work. And then when I pressed the direction, it didn't do it. And it's like the second I press the direction, it doesn't happen. My brain just leaks out of my ear, and that is it. I'm like, oh my God, I'm ruined. It happens that quick and that randomly, and it won't always do it. But if you were to make a game that would just haphazardly do that to me, it would wreck me. And I don't really get it, because for years I stayed away from first-person shooters, but then found that Battlefield was fine, unless I did the airplanes, which I don't do. I consider staying away from all the the arena games, like the Royales, sorry. But then Fortnite's been fine. I get a little bit ill if I play that for too long, but it's generally fine. I love playing, as I say, story-driven games, because they're always a bit slower paced, and there never seems to be any of those issues. If I'm pressing attack in like Final Fantasy, I'm pressing attack in a game and it's just going to do it itself, and I just sit there, that's fine. So it killed me when they became action RPGs and they had Final Fantasy 7 Before Crisis or Final Crisis or whatever one it was, the one where you were Vincent. That made me violently ill. I couldn't hack that at all. And that's the reason, in my experience, that I don't. So the problem I've got, Mass Effect didn't do it to me either, and I played the heck out of that, and that was a really good story-driven game. I think that was polished and worked. But what I find is, my perfect game is story-driven, it's epic, it's really big, it's really good. My health perfect game is polished and does everything it's supposed to. Not all games are polished and do what they're supposed to, and not all games have great stories in them. But lots of people love playing games where it's just grind or repeat or do the same thing. But most of those games either don't have a story or they're going to make me violently ill. So I don't get any of the shooting games because no one's telling me the story is so good I should run out and get it. And I'm never tempted enough. I mean, I think the reason I got into Mass Effect was because they gave you a free demo and someone said to me, just play it. Just see if you feel sick and play it. And I played it, and it was fine, and I thought it was really cool, and I read about it. It was awesome. But most of these, I'm like, I'm not going to spend 40, 50 plus pounds on the risk of feeling violently ill and regretting every decision that I made. Fortnite was free. It was just a hassle to download. That's fine. I'll try it. But I'm disappointed now. I'm scared because obviously Mario has made me ill. I've just asked for the Toad. What's it called? Toad Explorer. I forget the one where he's Captain Toad. That's it. I've just asked for that for my birthday, and I'm thinking that's 3D move around. It's probably the exact same controls and engine that they used on the other game. I'm worried about the fact that the Pokemon Let's Go, Eevee, and Pikachu games are probably the exact same engine. But I mean, it's made by Game Freak, but I don't remember any of their games making me ill. But you never know. I don't know what to do now. I'm just nervous that they're going to make me really sick, because Mario Kart doesn't, and that reacts perfectly to what I want to do. I'm trying to think what else. I've not had any problems with any of the strategy type ones like Rabbids. I prefer sticking to games I know that are older, or if I'm lounging around, I'll play something on my phone, because again, it's very static. But I just can't be doing with the, okay, if you turn this game on, it's going to derail the rest of your day with violent sickness. And that is the genuine... I mean, I talked about this on probably episode 10 of MGP back in, like, however long ago it was, 6-7 years ago. So it's not something that I'm bringing out now, like, this is the secret reason. I have spoken about it in the past, but I've never done it at length. And I think if you're asking me to play something that's expensive, I'm not going to get it on the risk. If it's a review I've got through, I'll give it an honest try. But if it makes me sick within the first 5 minutes, then I have to just palm it off to one of the other guys and keep shnum, essentially. Games like Fallout, I've tried to just play through. I've never completed a Fallout game, because I get to a point where I'm like, okay, I need to stop now. You know, I've never really got into the Borderlands games, because they make me feel really, really sick. Which is odd, because I've got an achievement for completing one of them, because I joined Kev and Anna at the end of a game and just played the ending with them. So yeah, that's the reasoning basically, and I don't think it affects that many people. My friend Natalie said it really, really, really affects her, and she was talking about it the other day. She gets violently ill for like days on end from it. My sister gets it now and again, but pretty much nobody else I know gets it, and I wish it was more common so that they'd fix it. Because I think it's either an engine thing, a graphics thing, or a controller thing. I've not quite pinned it down. It's whenever the controllers don't do what I expect them to do, that's when I suddenly flip. I thought it was graphics for years, but I think it's the controls. And it might just be when it's lag. It might just be that the controls... In Mario, I think it was just that I'd gone jump, 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 left, right, whatever. And he just kind of stopped and didn't do any of the things. The control maybe needed to resynchronize or something, but... I'll give it a couple more tries. Maybe I'll get used to it. That's another thing. Sometimes I can just play through it and suddenly I'm fixed, but it's horrible. Let me know if you get it, and let me know if you're watching this and you've got a cure for it, or you know a way to do it, because I can't play VR games with this issue. I've put a VR headset on before and I was so sick. I'm never going to do it again. You know, I don't play anything first person SSA really, and I just try and stick to tamer looking games. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, let me know your feedback, if you've got any help or suggestions. I've tried the little armbands to push on your wrists. That's how I used to get away with playing the later Call of Duty games when it got really bad. Because I'm that much of a geek, I just carried on with it anyway. It does frustrate me, because I remember when I first met Kev and was talking to him, and he said, well, you're not that much of a gamer then, you've not played X, Y, and Z and blah, blah, blah. And I'd be like, well, no, I remember Assassin's Creed making me feel really ill for whatever reason. I think it's just the 3D running in the direction you like stuff that tends to, if it's not responding to the controllers right, it gets me. Anyway, I'm recovering ground, but yeah, any questions, ask them. Like, what about this sort of game? I'll answer them in the comments. But yeah, tips would be lovely. I'd love to get rid of it or cure it or fix it or whatever it is. But other than that, thanks very much for watching. Can't believe I'm on 151. It'll be 200 soon, and that's mad. I'll see you tomorrow. Subscribe, like, comment, and yeah, cheers.